Hello everybody and welcome to Against the Fence. This is our very first talk show and we're going to be talking about all things UFC 264. I'm joined by Keane Franey from the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast, and we're also joined by Ryan Spillane, Bellator fighter from SBG Cork. Now Ryan, how does that sound, me introducing you as a Bellator fighter? Has it sunk in yet?
You messed up my second name, and it's everyone from England fucks up my second name. I've been to a
Really?
few shows in England now, and second name everyone fucks up. It's Spillane, not
Spillane.
Spillane.
Oh, I do apologise, my man. Ryan Spillane. Sorry, I do apologise.
It's grand. I'm used to it now at this stage.
Really? That's typical as Brits, I must admit. But yeah, how does that feel then?
Yeah, it's a cool enough thing. It's actually something I was going to announce it fairly soon, but about a week ago, I was actually officially released from Bellator, and they just did a kind of a cutting of all their kind of European fighters and all that. I was one of them.
Oh, what? Oh, pissed.
Yeah, so this is kind of the official announcement of it. But yeah, it means nothing to me. I'm still fighting in 3 weeks, and realistically, when they do come back and COVID kind of fucks off and we're back to Ireland and all those shows, I'll be re-signed then. I've no doubt about that. When I put on my performance in 3 weeks and then hopefully get a few more fights after that, I'll be re-signed. It's not really a big thing to me. It was just kind of COVID kind of fucked everything up. Like you had guys like Carl Moore, Will Flory, all those guys getting cut, and I was kind of looking at my name being like, why am I still here? Do you know? So I was officially released last week. It means absolutely nothing to me. I still have fighting 3 weeks, and I'll still be fighting after that.
Well, amazing. I mean, that's still a fantastic mindset to have, no doubt. I mean, you got to look at the positives that will come out of it. You know, you get to go back to the drawing boards and obviously reassess things. But there's no doubt you'll end up being back there anyway.
No, definitely.
Yeah, just got to keep going.
No doubt when they go back to Europe and they have shows in England or they have shows in Ireland, I'll be on those cards. Absolutely.
Yeah, because I mean, the way the Bellator, a lot of they offer out a lot of sort of one fight contracts to fighters, don't they?
Yeah, it suits me because I the whole time I've been kind of signed to them and kind of like I'm waiting for them to get a fight, and even getting this fight with Ballerina, I had to go off and I had to get permission from them. We had to get contracts signed from myself, and we also get signed from the promoter side of things. It was a bit of a hassle. So now I get to go off and get to fight. A few opportunities have already arisen since I found out the news out. So I have some really cool, exciting news to come in the next 2 weeks, especially after this fight as well. So.
Oh wow, okay. So nothing sort of can be said just yet. Then I take it.
No, not at all. I could be flying out to somewhere in the Middle East. I could be flying out to the States. I could be flying out anywhere. You know, there's a lot of things on the lines right now.
Blimey. Oh, Christ. All up in the air. Keane, what do you think of that? Crazy
well, look,
stuff.
I'll be honest with you. Like, Ryan's a very talented fighter. Like, he's been fighting on the Irish team for quite some time, and the amateur level represented Ireland in the IMAFs. And do you know, I think it's no doubt about it that Ryan will be back. Definitely with Bellator, if not the UFC. We don't know, or even MTK, anywhere, like any of the big promotions in the world. We're lucky to have a fighter like Ryan. And look, he has this upcoming opportunity now, you know, in Battle Arena against Roman Sink. In 3 weeks' time. Actually, it's on my birthday weekend as well. So, do you know, it'll be a good fight to watch, you know, on the 24th.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's exciting stuff. As a fan, we'll say, we're predominantly a UFC based fan channel, but if you got signed for the UFC, then you know, all perfect. You know, we're all for Team UFC. I'm afraid, not that like I'm. You know, have anything against Bellator as such. You know, I do occasionally catch a bit of Bellator, but you know, we've decided we're predominantly a UFC based fan channel. How's that process going? Have you started training yet? And sort of what can we expect anything new from you?
This camp started, I want to say 10 weeks ago officially started. I've been training since I had kind of a mini camp back September last year with Johnny Walker. Kind of trained all throughout Christmas. Took a bit of break through Christmas then because nothing was happening, and then restarted in January. So I've been training since January realistically for a fight. Not this fight particularly, a fight.
Yeah.
And officially then I head into camp. Then I think I started around maybe February, March, this camp. I'm on my kind of come down to camp now because I up in HQ up in Dublin for last week. I was sparring with the likes of Carl Moore, Will Flurry, Johnny Walker has started his camp, so we had plenty of rounds of training going. Some absolute killers up there, and that kind of finished out my kind of camp. But along with it, then I was sparring loads of really incredible guys for this camp. I had a professional Cuban boxer, Mike Perez. He absolutely kicked me around the gaff. Really humbled me.
There's definitely something about those Cubans, man.
Yeah, they're another level. He's like another level. He actually he went to school with Yoda Romero's brother and shit like that. Shit. Mental stuff, like crazy stuff. He is like.
I bet he's got a few top stories though, surely.
Oh yeah, like he has like 400, 500 amateur fights in boxing, and then 20 or 30 pro fights, like mental stuff, like the experience that man has and that he passed on to me was just crazy.
And especially those fights he's probably had in the streets as well. That probably adds in there as well, maybe.
Yeah, and then obviously sparring with a top light heavyweight in the UFC, Johnny Walker.
Yeah, what's that like?
That's incredible. He's exactly how he fights is how he trains as well. He's very energetic, and he'll just be dancing around the cage. He'll be throwing up a flying knee every so often. He'll grab your head and then just flip over you and shit like that. He's a very unpredictable spar. But we have a lad down here in Cork as well, Rory Hennebury, who spars just like him. Like him, Yuri Pervik, whatever his name is, that fella in the UFC.
Oh,
Johnny,
yes. Everyone has an issue saying his name.
The three of those guys spar exactly the same, and I'm just kind of used to it now. Like, so Johnny's flips and all those, I'm kind of used to that now. But it's still, sparing him is just always always your head's on and your peripherals need to be on, because he'll just throw a shot from anywhere. But it's a great spar.
Yeah, and he spent a lot of time training up at TriStar with Faraz Zahabi as well. Has he maybe giving you a little bit of an insight into what that's like as well?
No, not really. Like he's a very skilled man from like what we've seen in the cage. We've only seen like incredible striking. His wrestling is incredible as well, and he's a brown belt in jiu-jitsu as well. He's a Brazilian, so his ground game is next level as well. And there's a lot of stuff he's doing for this camp now that will definitely surprise everyone when he fights Santos in September.
Oh, you reckon so?
I think it's going to be an upset for most people.
Really? I mean, I must admit, a lot of people would probably side with Santos in that fight, and you kind of you think you can't really blame them at the same time. But Johnny, I think a lot of people underestimated whereabouts Johnny Walker was in his career, because he blew up massively in such a short period of time. And look, I'm excited I'm a Johnny Walker fan as well. I think he's got his attributes and his style is very sort of it's kind of what I like as a fan, really. And I'd be excited to sort of get to see him fight as well. What about you, Keane? What do you reckon about that?
Like Johnny Walker, like he's unorthodox in the way he does things, and like it's exactly like you said it. Like he blew up kind of really early in his career, and there was a lot of talk that he was going to be the man to beat John Jones.
Yes.
Like when he was coming up through the light heavyweight division, people were saying like Johnny Walker was that ace in the hole that could definitely take John Jones, maybe take that O off him. Now we know that obviously the no contest that happened, technically that's a defeat, but John Jones was battering him. Do you know what I mean? But when you really kind of look at Johnny Walker, I think there's still a lot of development there. He's still very young in the game.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Like,
especially in sports like MMA, like you look at boxing, for example, like a lot of people pad their records and they're 20, 30, whereas you look at MMA, it's a young man's sport.
Yeah. Like
you may see someone who has a couple of defeats early on in the career, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're finished.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like this, especially Walker, he's at such a young age and he has a very adaptable style. So look, he's an underdog against Santos, yes, probably in the bookmaker's eyes, but at the same time, with his style, he does have the attributes to beat Santos, and just a very exciting fight and look, it's very good contrast in styles.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I couldn't agree more with everything you pretty much said there. Nailed it on the head. UFC 264 here at last, and it hasn't come quick enough, really. As a fan, how much do you tap into the whole build-up of things? Starting with you, Keane, what do you reckon?
The build-up to this fight is, I think, like if you're a Conor McGregor fan especially, I think this is probably kind of a do-or-die situation, because like he has aspirations to win that lightweight title again. Like, he wants to do it all over again. And he wants to prove he's still, a fighter at the highest level, which I believe he is. You look at from the flip side, Dustin Poirier, he could have taken that Oliveira fight or Chandler fight at the time, after the second fight. And look, he wants to really kind of cement his legacy. I think this is kind of a fight where he wants to prove that he's a better fighter than Conor, which, look, I think for him as well, he wants to set up his family. I think that also plays a narrative into this fight. But like, as a fan, like, you're excited because you look at the fights in this card, you look at Thompson, Burns, like, that has all the potential. I was saying to Ryan off camera before this, that has all the potential to be a barn burner. And then as Ryan pointed out to me, it could also be a sleeper. Do you know what I mean? Because the styles, like, could Burns, kind of grapple, Thompson to death, or could it be like an absolute Peter performance where he absolutely blasts him out there? But then obviously, like, look, Sugar Sean O'Malley's on this card as well. Like, so this card is absolutely stacked. So as a fight fan, very excited. And look, when it's a McGregor card, and in Ireland especially, Ryan can attest to this, the buzz in this country when Conor McGregor fight week is there, it's just second to none. So I'm absolutely buzzing for this card and just can't wait for Saturday night.
Oh man, I bet it's gonna be crazy. I mean, there's an Irish pub up the road from where we live called the Cladder Ring, and they normally put on a fantastic event there. But with COVID times and all that, unfortunately, we're not able to go up there. And
they can definitely throw a lock in or something. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Surely, I mean, it would be fantastic, and they've just done the place up. Like, there's screens absolutely everywhere now. For the football and things like that, but we were kind of hoping to perhaps maybe do like a live fan cam from up there, and maybe whilst we're doing the watch along here, get some people who are at the pub outside and just kind of get them to chime in and things like that. But unfortunately, that has not materialised, so we've taken a step back and done some other things instead. I mean, aside from the main event, then, guys, what other fight on this card sticks out the most for you?
I would say on the undercard you have Ryan Hall and Ilias Duporia. Terrible pronouncing names.
Georgian.
Yeah. He's training over in Spain. I think that's a sleeper of a fight. Like Ryan Hall. Whenever Ryan Hall comes out and fight, it's an exciting fight anyway, and he's an absolute killer as well. So that's the fight I'm looking for. Obviously, you could say Conor as well and all that. But everyone says Conor, you have to throw something else in there. I think that'll be a great fight, especially on the undercard as well.
Yeah, and what's exciting with that fight is that finally someone stepped up to fight Ryan Hall, because no one wants to fight him. And
when was the last time he fought? I'd say it was a few years now at this stage, wasn't it?
Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't think of when that was. Yeah. Just no one wants to fight him, and he's got that same trick which happens every time, and no one's been able to solve the puzzles for it.
And this fella Ilias is a fucking incredible grappler as well. So he'll put it up. Well, obviously Ryan Hall is next level. But in MMA, grappling doesn't matter. Once you get punched in the head, you start turning into a brown belt and then a purple belt and then a blue belt. So, MMA grappling is a whole lot different than when you put on a jiu-jitsu gi and all that. But I'm very excited for that fight. I think that fight's going to be the absolute cracker of a fight.
Wow, yeah, and I believe it's headlining the prelims as well, right?
No, I think it's middle of the prelims, to be fair. I looked at the card a minute ago. I think it was middle of it.
Blimey. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's definitely one you have to watch from start to finish. Without, and that's sort of said for most Conor McGregor cards anyway. They normally do stack it up. I think on Guts and Gory podcast they were talking about the other day how there was an article saying, I think it was them anyways, that I'm thinking, that there was an article clearly from a journalist who's just sort of a casual and sort of throwing shade to it and saying there's not many big names on this card, but it's like,
the card's huge. The card's packed. But even with the Conor cards, they don't want to throw everyone on it because Conor's going to sell the pay-per-view anyway. Conor alone is going to be, he's one of the highest drawers in all the UFC. But
sports in general, you look at boxing and stuff like that, right? You look at current combat sports right now. Floyd Mayweather's retired, right? So there's boxing's draw gone out the window. AJ and Tyson Fury would be only pay-per-view draws in boxing. You look at MMA, Conor is the biggest draw in MMA, and I'd say the biggest draw in combat sports right now. If you look at pay-per-view numbers for this fight compared to the Fury Wilder fight in 2 weeks' time. I guarantee this pay-per-view outsells that 100%.
Oh, 100%. 100%. No question.
So, like, why, from a business point of view, would Dana put like a co-main event that's a cracker or title fight or something like that, and then have the main card filled with all guys that he could put on any other card to sell that card? You know, business point of view makes no sense. Like, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, no, he's got to reserve those. You know, he's got to build up other cards across the way. There's no way he can afford to do that, clearly, and especially with the ESPN contract that they've got into motion and all those kind of things. Really, they have really got to hit the numbers. Let's get into the first fight on the main card. Then we've got Sean O'Malley now taking on newly signed Chris Moutinho. If you're in Chris Moutinho's shoes, what should your approach be in this fight? A lot of people are going to expect a highlight reel knockout from Sean O'Malley, but if you're him, what do you do?
You're obviously going to fight. Like, he's stepping in with like what's notice? I think it's 2 weeks notice. He's stepping in this fight. I think something like that. Like, you've got absolutely nothing to lose. Like, you jump into the UFC, you're fighting one of their stars. You know, like Sean's a big draw as well. Like he's got, like, if he loses, you know, that's it. Whatever, he can start building back up his record and all that. Like, and start building up his UFC career and all that. Like, he wins, he goes into stardom. You know, like, he becomes a new fan favorite. You know, if he beats Sean O'Malley, like, you know.
Yeah,
so I believe there's nothing lying on his back at all. You know, there's no pressure at all. Like, normally if you're stepping in against a big guy like that, like, you know, all the pressure on you. I think he's stepping in with nothing to lose. You know, like, he loses. You know, it's just another losses record. And he starts building up his UFC record and all that kind of stuff. He wins. It's great for him. Fighting wise, I don't know anything about the fella. I don't know if he's good in the ground or anything like that. Like, so if he is, take down Sean O'Malley, start grinding him out, make a tough fight, make it an exciting kind of like grueling fight for Sean, where he can't like just start picking you apart and start looking for the highlight reel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I watched a little bit of tape on Moutinho last night, and I really, it just baffles me how this fight has been put to part, really. I don't think he's truly there yet to fight someone like O'Malley. But then, having said that, you know, on the other hand, Sean O'Malley's quite new to the sport himself. You know, they've probably got sort of the same number of fights professionally. And I think for Moutinho, he's just got to kind of go in there and put on a performance, I think. He's got to impress the UFC brass in this to, you know, win or lose, get that kind of next fight, really, and go back to the drawing board because, you know, like you said, a week, 2 weeks notice is, you know, it's nothing to hang your head up, even if you do lose. But I would like to see him just kind of try and bull rush O'Malley, to be honest, but I can't see it happening.
Yeah, like, look, I think, as Ryan said, like, I think Moutinho's coming in here with absolutely nothing to lose. Like, again, he's coming onto a very big card, very big stage. O'Malley, a big name in his weight class. Like O'Malley's associated with highlight reel finishes. So, like, look, he's coming in on 6 days notice. I think for him, I think his best probably opportunity is try maybe drag O'Malley into a grappling exchanges, maybe drag it into the later rounds and kind of, you know, maybe test O'Malley's grit. I think that's something that we haven't really seen throughout his career as of yet, where his grit's really, really been tested. So I think maybe that's his best opportunity, you know, put on a good performance, impress the matchmakers and get himself another fight, because, you know, that division is stacked at the moment. So if you put on a performance like that on a card like this, on a stage like this, especially against a name who the UFC eventually want to be a pay-per-view draw in Sean O'Malley, then I think Moutinho has all the opportunities to do so. It's just a case now whether, you know, he doesn't get stage fright, he doesn't kind of falter at that point and get stopped early. Because if you look at kind of the records, and like they may have the same amount of fights, but you look at O'Malley's a lot more victories than him. You kind of would have to say all the balls are in kind of O'Malley's court. He just has to come in and put on a performance. And look, I think when you look at it from that perspective, he can't lose. If he puts on a decent performance and eventually, right, look, he takes the L, but he's, you know, he looks decent on a stage like that. He doesn't really lose then, does he? Because he gets another fight at UFC and an opportunity to build a UFC career and move up the bantamweight division.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with Sean O'Malley, he's he comes in every time with such sort of confidence and swagger about him. It's almost, it's similar to Conor in some respects, because that confidence gets seen by their opponents, and then it kind of, with a lot of guys, affects them mentally. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think Moutinho's just got to go forget about that, stick to his game plan, and just try and finish him. Fuck it, just go out him, throw him in the kitchen sink. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. go absolutely balls to the wall and look, fuck it.
Yeah.
Whatever happens.
He's got absolutely nothing to lose in this fight, so why not?
Let's move on then to a bit more about Conor as a person. Now, Ryan, you've been in the same room as the man himself. Tell us what that's like, because I'd imagine he's a very sort of supportive of up-and-coming fighters, like yourself, really.
Yeah, so obviously the news last week that Conor has gone off and he's paid for our whole cadet team. So the IMAF cadets are on in Bulgaria in, I want to say, 4 to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
Conor went off and paid for 40 athletes, 20 coaches, all to fly out. So that kind of stuff then, like he didn't need to do that. Like, that was literally, he's in fight camp, he's all thinking about himself, and he went off and did that. Like, huge gesture, especially for Irish MMA, not just for SPG. He's done plenty of things for SPG fighters. SPG Port Alton was closing, and he went off and funded the whole gym and kept the gym from closing during lockdown and all that. He did stuff like that for teammates, like Philip Mulpeter was one of his teammates, so he helped him. Like, there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't hear about Conor, because all the news you hear about Conor is all the bad stuff, all the stuff, that the negative news that would sell. You never hear about the little things Conor does and all that. Like even in the gym, like, so when we have our fight team classes at like 11 o'clock every day, and those are just professionals and the higher amateurs. They're invite only sessions. It's normally John Kavanagh and Dave Roach taking those classes, and like Conor will be there to train as well. Like, but after class you have like some traveling fighters from there's lads from Spain or Italy or anywhere in the world that just go over and just looking to train with us and all that. Like, and they want to get a photo with Conor and all that. And he's done a session, he's tired, he's sweating and all that. He'll still be a guy to go over and take a photo with you after class and all that. Like, he's nice that way. The Conor you see on the telly is different, because that's the Conor that needs to sell pay-per-views and needs to build up hype for fights. He's actually a very nice guy in person.
No, absolutely. And I've read into some of the stuff he's done for the local football scene in Ireland as well. Didn't he? Yeah. I think, did he play, was it 11-a-side or 5-a-side over at one point in his lifetime? And didn't he kind of put he sponsored a whole team's jerseys.
He from what I know, because I read up a lot about amateur football over here, he done up the whole like AstroTurf firm as well. He set up like the training facilities and actually funded that through McGregor Sports and Entertainment, through one of his entities there. So he has done that as well. And his new pub, I think it's the Fro again, he sponsored their jerseys through his pub as well. So he has done for as one of the teams up in Dublin. He done that for.
Man, it's crazy. I mean, you think the guy never sleeps, right?
Yeah.
And he's clearly got all these different people around him that help put these things together. Remarkable group of people, clearly. But Ryan, tell us about sort of the first time that you met Conor.
First time I officially met him, I want to say was, so it was when Concord, so the gym before the gym we have right now, it was when Concord opened up. Conor was just after his ACL surgery. So, it was that period where it was after the America's Brim or Max Holloway fight, I think.
Holloway, yes, that's right. Yeah, no, he done damage in that fight, which really
so he
was the reason why
he did all of his rehab in LA, and then he came home to open the gym up. So it was John's first full-time gym. It was a huge premises. It's actually the new gym he has now is actually double the size of that. Like, so it's kind of funny that was his first time gym, and that was like Concord was his biggest gym and all that, and now he has the Monster, which is even bigger. But Conor was there to open it up, and we had just become SPG. So our gym here in Cork had just become SPG. So we went up. It was kind of a cool thing. We went up and we trained, and Conor was there, and we got T-shirts signed by Conor. You had Paddy was there. You had Chris Fields and Carl Pendred, who were just off the Ultimate Fighter. Just like 4 or 5 years ago at this stage now, a lot longer, I think. You had Ashton Daly was in the UFC at this point. All those big stars and all that, and met Conor, and he was like, "You're a big fucking bollocks, you." Got a photo with him, and then I want to say a year later, I was training the mats with him, and then it was constantly then, like he was always sessions, and he'd always like, whenever he sees you, he'll always drop a comment about you, like he'll always make a funny remark, and that'll be it, It's just the way he is, his personality. Like anytime you're mats, he'll always look up and be like, "Fucking big bollocks over there."
Amazing. I'm not surprised by that at all, to be honest. I mean, yeah, the guy's got great banter, and of course, you got to take it, and a lot of people don't get it these days, but it's a great thing to have with that person, I guess, really. But no, that's phenomenal stuff. But what can we expect from Conor then in the next few days? Because can we expect this sort of like the fired up, hungry Conor who will talk smack at the press conference and sort of brag about his perks a little bit? Or is that all now in the past? Now that being a father and he's kind of settled down a little bit, what do you guys expect to see from him there?
I think we'll get the old Conor. I think we'll get the smart, funny kind of Joe. We had the very humble Conor for the last fight, and he was kind of all serious and all that. But from what he's tweeting and stuff like that, I think we're getting the funny Conor. I know he tweeted the other day something like first person to shoot for takedowns a bitch or something like that.
A dusty bitch, yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that. Like I think we're getting the funny Conor. I think we're going to get like a really funny fight week where him just taking the absolute piss out of Dustin. And Dustin just being kind of serious about it, because Dustin is kind of like more. He's used to Conor at this stage, like he's kind of used to all that smack talk and all that. So I think we'll get a funny Conor this fight camp or this fight week.
Do you know what I think with this? I think we could even see him going down the Diaz 2 route, because in the build up to that, like he was fired up and he was firing on all cylinders. Like we mightn't get him throwing bottles again. Now we don't know about that, but.
Or throwing fucking trolleys as well.
But like I think we get a fired up Conor, and like a very zen Conor McGregor. I think in this fight week. I think there will be a trash talk. I do think there will be a bit of back and forth between the two of them. Like people say Dustin Poirier's changed, but in Dustin Poirier's time since that fight, he's never had someone really wind him up. Even obviously before the second fight, Conor was humbled. He's obviously a father that since the cowboy fight, he took that approach. But Dustin hasn't had to deal with mental warfare since the first Conor fight. So how can we really say he's changed mentally? Like, going in, let's say this press conference and Conor's really getting on his nerves, that could still play a factor Saturday. It still can. I know styles make fights, and I know we break down kind of what's going on later on, but I think Poirier, he's showing cracks in his armor. Like, even seeing interviews, like, if he wasn't bothered, he wouldn't even he'd brush it off. But he's saying Conor's insecure, and he's saying this and he's saying that. I think Dustin, we may see some cracks in his armor mentally come to press conference this week.
Ooh, very interesting. Yeah, I think with the Cowboy fight, Conor kind of needed to take that approach with Cowboy, because Cowboy doesn't really bite back with it. He's not about Cowboy, and I think that fight was more or less about respect in some ways. And then tailing off from the Dustin one, you had sort of the chat between the charities and things like that, which I think brought things down on more sort of, a humble sort of vibe to it. But I think fight week, we're going to see a Conor McGregor shift through the gears a little bit.
Yeah, like even with the charity thing, he went off and donated to a different charity in the same area as where Dustin's charity is, just to piss him off. So he didn't even donate to his charity, but he donated to a charity in that area, same amount of money, which is not Dustin's.
Wow, I didn't even know that. Really?
Yeah, no, he did that just to piss off Dustin.
That is some next level shit. That is.
So like, I mean, that was the start of fight camp. He did that kind of shit, like, and he's been tweeting the whole time and like all this kind of crack. Like, so I personally think we're getting the fucking Aldo Conor, like that Conor, the Conor just taking the absolute piss.
Oh, that's fantastic. I hope we see it. He's got to come back. It's been too long now since we've kind of seen that level of, shit talking to build a fight up. I think the UFC fans definitely need it, and I want to see it. I think everyone wants to see it. I'm excited. I'm so pumped now. But then let's move on to then the main event as itself. Then in Conor's last few fights, we've seen him alter his approach to a more sort of narrow stance. And is this because he's been working extensively on his boxing for a while? And do we see him go back to that old sort of way, his vintage Conor, where he comes out and sort of throws a barrage of different kicks and then sort of works to land that left hand? What do you guys reckon?
Yeah, I think the Conor we have for last, Dustin, obviously his whole camp, he had a lot of boxers. He brought over a lot of the Crumlin boxing lads, and he had the head coach of Crumlin boxing with him there. So I feel like that camp was a bit more boxing based. I think just because in the back of his head he was kind of like that Pacquiao fight was kind of will they, won't they? So he was kind of being like, oh look, I'll practice my boxing, get better boxing, and get ready for that fight. As well as obviously he had John Kavanagh there, he had OMalley there, and he had all the male lads too. He had the likes of Darragh O'Sullivan, and he had Nikolai Solai, loads of huge MMA guys out there with him. So he was kind of, I think that boxing stance only came because he was practicing boxing that, and then obviously whenever you spare a boxer in MMA, you chop the legs off him. That's how you do it. Boxers are primarily, they're putting all the weight on their front on their feet because that's what they used to. They're not used to getting kicked in the legs. So Conor got his leg kicked off him, and that's what happened. This time around, just from what Conor's posted on Instagram and from the stuff I know of the lads have gone over to train with him, he's brought over not many boxers. He brought over a lot of really, really high-level MMA guys. He brought over Kiefer Crosby, huge Bellator fighter, absolute killer. Like, you're not getting easy spares with Kiefer. Kiefer's going hard, and you're getting tough MMA spares. Unbelievable kind of like Taekwondo style striking, and then unbelievable grappling as well. He brought over Keane Cowley, an incredible Thai boxer who has kind of made the switch over to MMA now, so he has that kind of half Thai boxing, half MMA striking. He has the likes of, I mentioned him there now, you guys won't know him, his name is Darragh O'Sullivan. He's an amateur here in Ireland. He's an absolute incredible kickboxer. Like this kid is going to be the next biggest thing, like really? Absolute killer. Like kind of he had a Thai boxing background, but has kind of pushed him more into kickboxing now. Killer. He has Nikolai Solai out there. He has some really, really high level guys out there with him. He has Peter Creeley. Peter Creeley has been living in America for the last since his fight with Pitbull. He has Peter Creeley out there with him now as well. Like some really, really tough MMA spars, not boxing.
He's an absolute animal. Creeley's an animal.
I think the Conor we're going to get this time now is going to be that back to that open stance, style. Like so he has likes of lads like Keane Cowley. Keane Cowley is going to be leathering his legs apart. Like, so the whole leg kick thing, I don't think that's going to play a factor in this fight. Then we're going to get the prime Conor, the Conor at the wide stance, looking for that counter strike. I think it's going to be a very, very different fight this time around.
Oh, man. I mean, for the past few weeks, I must admit, we've been swaying in terms of like predictions, which we'll get into in just a sec. But hearing that just now just makes me think, it's gone back and forth for a while. It's gone back and forth, One day it could be Dustin, next day it would be Conor. But after hearing that, I'm thinking, I'm licking my chops. If the other boys go Dustin, I might just have to sway Conor and go,
No, for me, look, I think Conor will have this in the bag. And like when you look at you said the people he's bringing in, it's a whole different ball game in terms of sparring partners, in terms of preparation. Like Conor said, like even before that fight, that he was taking Dustin as a precursor to the Manny fight. Like he said that openly in December last year, that's what he was doing. That was the plan. And like low calf kicks are no joke. Like we've a local Muay Thai gym here in Clonmel, where I'm living, and I often two of my friends are trainer. One's the head coach there, and one of my friends is one of the main fighters in there. And I seen a boxer go into that gym, and his hands were unbelievable. But the minute he went in sparring, he's getting the legs chopped off him. He was so heavy on his front leg, it was just one kick after another. And like that's what happens when you see kind of people transition from MMA to boxing, boxing to MMA. It happens the whole time. And I think Conor has so many tools. Like when you look back in his career, Like, yes, he has that left hand. That left hand's absolutely devastating. But his kick set up that left hand. The deep kick to the body. His left low kick he was thrown against Diaz. That's a very good kick. The spinning back kick. Do you know what I mean? He has all them kicks in his arsenal. And look at him, even them shoulder strikes that he was throwing against Cowboy. Like, Conor has a whole different arsenal and all different technique. I think that we didn't see that against Dustin in the first fight, where he abandoned kind of his technique and his movement and his distance management. Like, all that was kind of, almost abandoned because of that boxing based style. Whereas, as Ryan said, he's right in what he's saying. Like, if he goes back to that kind of open karate stance, and he's throwing a whole host of kicks and he's kind of managing distance and makes a chess match almost, that will not suit Dustin Poirier, because Dustin Poirier likes being in the pocket. Like, that's where he likes to be. He doesn't like to be on the outside.
No.
So I think for me, I think if Conor reverts back to that style, and he has his timing, because like, I think when you look back at that, like, Conor's inactivity and any high level sport, whether it's combat sports or any high level sport, like, you need to be active. And if you're not active, like, you lose your peak fitness, match fitness or whatever. But if it's a combat sport, your timing might be off. And the thing about this is, like, Conor, it's not like Conor's fighting bums. Conor's fighting people at the highest level, and in the midst of inactivity as well. So I think, yes, people are saying he's taking this fight 5 months, right after, 5 months after it. But you have to say that takes balls getting in there. And the fact he's jumping out from one fight and straight into another training camp, his timing's going to be better. And the fact that he's bringing all these high-level training partners, the right adjustments are going to be made. And even if people say, like, the grappling side of things, well, if you look at the last fight, you look at the grappling exchange, yes, Dustin shot a takedown, but when they got up against the fence, Conor actually got, like, the cleaner work in there. Do you know what I mean? In the clinch. So I think if Conor does get that style back and his time is there and he can manage the distance, I think he can stop him within 2. If not, I think if it's a chess match, he could take the decision, I think.
Wow. Yeah, I think Conor, like you said, he's going to be so much more sharper in this fight. It's phenomenal. I wouldn't be surprised if it is a decision as well, to be honest. I mean, well, I think we're all expecting a bit of a war here. I do think Conor's got a big chance of outpointing Poirier throughout the fight, to be honest. That's what I reckon anyway. But then you very nicely touched upon Dustin Poirier there, which kind of leads on to my next question for you guys. If you're Dustin Poirier, you've got to step ahead of Conor McGregor in this, because Conor's going to anticipate the low calf kick. So what else do you think Dustin will throw in there? He's not the type to initiate the takedowns, although we did see that initial attempt in the last fight. But we know he's capable of pulling off Diaz chokes, and he's done it a few times in his career. So what else do you think Dustin could potentially bring into this fight?
If I was in Dustin's corner, like, it's a thing that everyone always jokes about, that Conor doesn't have a cardio, doesn't have a gas tank. You make this fight dirty. You get in there close, you get dirty boxing, you get it nasty, you get a tough, grueling fight like the Diaz fight, like, where Conor is really pushing the pace, and he can't. If you just stand there and let Conor attack you, that's when he's going to pull off his best shots, with big striking shots. But on the back foot, when Conor's pushed back and he's on the back foot, he'll hit you as well. So you need to get really in close. You need to be staying in that clinching area, get him against the fence, make it a real grueling fight, and push the cardio and make it a decision fight. Like, make it a fight where it goes the 5 rounds, because Conor's looking for the knockout. Like, in my opinion, if Conor's going to win it, it's going to be round 1 or round 2. It's not going to go past that if Conor's going to win it. I think if we go around 3, 4, 5, it's Dustin's going to win it. I personally don't see that. But if I was in Dustin's corner, that's what he's going to be looking to do. He's going to be looking to make it a grueling, tough, dirty fight.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Keane, would you agree?
Yeah, like, look, I think that's Dustin's best chance. I think if Conor is peak Conor, then maybe grinding is his best way to do it. But again, I just don't see, like, I think if we get this Conor, this sharp and razor focus, I just don't see Dustin winning. I'll be honest, maybe I'm biased. I don't know. But I think if he doesn't grind it out, then I think that there's every chance we'll see Conor maybe stop him early.
Yeah, I don't really see Dustin shooting for or executing takedowns, to be honest. I think, if anything, Dustin's best chance at getting Conor down, I think, would be the body lock against the cage and maybe the inside trip. But I'm not sure he's going to try and pull that out. I mean, it's, who knows? It's a possibility, but again, Conor is quite good at sort of, snapping back up really to his feet. So it's all to play for in the ground. It's normally, I don't really know what that could look like. We're kind of yet to see it in this scenario. Really,
like everyone keeps forgetting, but Conor's a brown belt, and he's not one of those Brazilian, like, get him out of lucky bag brown belts. Yeah. He's absolute, like, he's a John Kavanagh brown belt. John just doesn't hand out belts. Like, the SPG way of things, you don't just get a belt. You have to earn that shit, like. And, like, he's a tough brown belt. Not much. You never see Conor really train the gi and stuff like he used to in the old days and all that. Like, not much now. But he's still a tough jiu-jitsu competitor, like, and his wrestling is really good too. Like, he has lads like Sergey. He has on this camp right now, he had Costa over there. Costa, I'm not even going to pronounce the second name because it's a load of vowels, a load of N's and loads of G's, and I'm not pronouncing that. But he's a Moldovan killer, like, killing wrestling, like if those guys train with you, you're gonna get better. You're gonna get better at wrestling. You have lads like he brought over Lee Hammond for this camp. Lee Hammond is an absolute killer on the floor. Like, if it was go to the floor, I see Conor winning those exchanges, to be honest. Like, really? Wow. I think Conor beats Dustin on the floor. Like, Dustin is really good on the floor as well. I just think Conor beats him in that, because Conor can get better on the ground. It's more grindy with Conor when he goes to the ground. I think that suits him, where it's not really like technical jiu-jitsu. It's more just like MMA jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no, and I think a lot of people forget that fight with Max Holloway very early on in his career, and how well Muay Thai had, whilst he was injured, how well he was able to deal with Max Holloway. Now, I know Max Holloway was also very early on in his career then, but I think the fact that Conor, how he controlled Holloway was just so impressive. Just the way that, he's got such a wide base when he's grappling, and his leg dexterity is definitely something remarkable, which causes problems for people down there. I wouldn't be surprised. I would like to see Conor show more of his sort of jiu-jitsu game, but he wants that knockout, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. We all want knockout.
Yeah, no,
on blood.
Which then leads on to what's next. Then, I mean, we'd assume that the winner is going to fight Charles Oliveira. That's pretty much given. But then, as for the loser, what do you guys reckon?
I reckon Michael, to lose this fight, goes fight Michael Chandler.
Yeah,
we may see that. I think Chandler probably is waiting in the wings for the loser of this fight, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I guess that's the reason why he's not yet matched up with Justin Gaethje. Yeah,
definitely the loser fight Chandler. Chandler's the next kind of line. Like, you think Chandler will fight Oliveira first and get that rematch. I'm a big Chandler fan, so I'm a bit biased here. I think he deserves the rematch. I think, obviously, that fight was a bit. That was a tough fight to watch. I think Chandler had it and then didn't have it. Loser fights Chandler, winner fights Oliveira, and then you're kind of looking at what happens after that. Then, like, for who fights who next.
Ooh, interesting. So, what would your take be if Conor was to fight Michael Chandler? Then, I mean, obviously you go for Conor.
Oh, that's a tough fight. I think me and Keane talked about this before. We talked about this before. I think Chandler beats Conor.
Really?
Yeah, I think Chandler's wrestling, striking to wrestling is next level, and no guy can stop that. I personally, I'm gonna throw a hot take out there. I think Chandler beat Khabib. I think Chandler was the man to beat Khabib.
Really?
Yeah. Fully. Me and Keane talked about this before. I think he beats Khabib. So then MMA math, then Chandler beats Conor, because Khabib beat Conor, that kind of way. Like,
those triangles, which when they happen in MMA, are fascinating and phenomenal.
Yeah.
I love
But Chandler versus Conor, I think, is the most exciting fight we can get. I think if we get that and it's prime Conor, I think that's a cracker of a fight.
No problem.
Do we get it?
Hey,
Yeah,
the
do we
build
get
up.
it? I don't think so.
The build up to that fight, lads, will be insane as well.
Oh,
USA against
incredible.
Ireland. Get the promos rolling, you know.
Yeah. Oh, it'd be incredible. I don't think we'll get it. I think Conor fights Oliveira, beats Oliveira, and then it's kind of a weird kind of landscape then, and who fights Conor then next, you know? Does Dustin get a fourth shot? You know, it's a tough one then, like.
Maybe does Gaethje slip in there because we have the whole Ali Abdelaziz kind of thing as well, the rivalry with his the roster against Conor. Does that happen?
You forget about Gaethje, and then you have a whole line of killers behind that, you know? There's a lot of guys waiting to bang into that top 5, like, you know? So it's a tough one. It's a very tough one. It's exciting time to be a lightweight, but a tough time too because the top like 3 and 4 there are holding up the whole division. There's no real kind of movement, like. But then that's kind of most divisions right now is a bit of a hold up. Like you look at the welterweights, there's a big hold up as well. Yeah, it's a tough time.
Oh man, it's exciting time to be a fan. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But then, I guess the Michael Chandler fight would be fantastic. I think personally, we all want to see the Nate Diaz trilogy. But as a Brit to you guys as Irish fans, what if I put it onto a plate for you guys and said that the UFC would do Conor versus Diaz 3 in Cork? How does that make you feel?
There's nowhere you can put it in Cork, to be honest.
Croke Park, Dublin.
Croke Park,
Croke Park in Dublin.
Yeah, Croke. Oh, I said Cork. Jesus. I don't know what the UFC do it just because with Diaz you're looking at the pay-per-view from America and then you're gonna have to do it late here in Ireland, and then there's all fucking weird laws and all that, like where you can't, you know, people complain about having stuff on late and all that. It's a weird one. I don't see it happen in Ireland, to be honest.
Ryan, I'll throw a spanner in the works.
Go on.
I know we had the whole Garrett Brooks situation over here at Croke Park and they stopped it, right? The Aviva Stadium's in a whole different area in Dublin and it's in a lot kind of secluded area. Yeah. You could definitely, you know, maybe even make a case for that. Or like you have other places in Ireland like, you know, the Gaelic grounds which can hold a good 40,000. So like again, that's off base in Limerick as well. There is other places in Ireland you could hold a stadium fight for a McGregor fight where you could get numbers.
I just don't personally see him doing a Conor fight in Ireland again. It's just, I don't know. I think with Conor you want to keep the US pay-per-view, like, and with that then you have to go like that Manchester card they had. It was Bisbin versus
Henderson,
yeah.
Like that card was a 3M, like, you know, that's the last thing you want as a fighter to be fighting at 3M, you know.
Yeah. That was ridiculous. I don't know why the fuck they did that.
It's just because the pay-per-view in America, like you want it perfect for America, like, and it's just, I think if they're going to do Conor Diaz, it has to be in like Madison Square Garden or Vegas, maybe Vegas. Fight Island, but I think with Conor Diaz, you want it in America, really, like.
Yeah, they say Vegas is, you know, brings in the most money out of, you know, anywhere really, I think so. Yeah, it is a shame, but yeah, it would be nice, you must admit, for the UFC just kind of, you know, if Conor says, I'm one and done now, that's it, give me one more fight in Ireland, then surely.
Conor has negotiation power to do that, being like, I'm having one more fight after this now, and I want it in Ireland. He has that power. Does it happen? I don't think so.
Okay, interesting take. No, that's fantastic take of your guys. Okay, then, so that moves on to the predictions then. So, Ryan, who have you got for Gilbert Burns versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson this Saturday?
I'm going to go Wonderboy by first round TKO against Gilbert Burns.
So, Ryan, that leaves on for the main event then. Who have you got for Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor?
For the Conor and Poirier fight, I'm going to go Conor second round TKO.
Okay, Ryan, thanks for your pick. Much appreciated. And that's all we've got time for on this talk show. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do check out in the description the link to the weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. And do check out the social media links for Ryan in the description and follow his road to the top of the MMA game. Thanks for joining us, guys. We hope you enjoyed it. This is ATF. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe to Weekly Armchair Sports Talk podcast. We'll see you next time.